broker. I mean, that's almost, I mean, that is a 10x move. But talk about, first off, where did you see that need? And then a little bit, kind of, how did you set the framework for that?
Sure. Yeah, so I think for us, you know, I had started my career at CH, was there for 8 years, left in 2015 to go to a startup company. Was there for another 4 years. COVID hit. My wife and I, we've got 4 boys, and so February of 24, February of 2020, we had twin newborns, a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old. COVID hit literally middle of March and shut the world down, and things were going great, and then just some things happened, and I felt like I needed to make a change. So what better than to go out and start my own brokerage in the middle of a pandemic? So it was a risky move. It was good though. I learned a lot. You know, we hit the ground running in September of 2020. By 2023, I think we had 44 employees doing about $50 million a year, about 30,000 loans.
Wow. Rob, we earlier were talking about generational business. You're second generation family business, and Rob was on my podcast several months ago. Phenomenal podcast, not because it's ours, but you spoke so well, and just the information and content you put out. I think I welcome you to go back and check it. But in brief, talk about when you came into the business, where it was at and where it is today, because you guys have really expanded and diversified.
So, and yeah, it was a great podcast, by the way. So you should probably watch it. But I took over from my father, who started the company in 1982. I took over about 4 years ago. We lost our main van contract. The plant shut down, so then we pivoted to bulk. I took over more of the sales and dispatching, and we grew from 14 trucks to about 40 in 4 years. I've been blessed to be able to buy brand new equipment and get drivers and new equipment. But we don't do a lot of what we did 4 years ago, because that market is still there, but it wasn't meeting the goals I needed. So I had to look into different industries. And since then, we've added, you know, kosher liquid food grade tanks. It's our newest thing, and liquid fertilizer and belt trailers. And we've just started expanding into new industries, but still utilizing the same customers. Because a lot of our customers have multiple types of freight.
Yeah, that's awesome. Rob, we go back a ways, and but Turbo Turtle, but you actually recently started a tow truck company. Okay, we had it on Volklow's podcast, so I can go listen to that podcast. But talk about, you know, as an entrepreneur, business owner, you saw a need out there in the industry, but what was going on and what really compelled you to say, hey, I'm not going to do just trucking, but I'm going to start a tow truck company?
The biggest thing is, whenever we start a new venture, we have to say we don't like having money in our bank accounts. But more than anything, there has to be a need that we're meeting. And our main, in trucking, we have 3 relationships we have to manage. We have to manage our cost side, you know, which is a good banking relationship, a good equipment vendor relationship, good insurance relationship, like Larry was talking about earlier. And on top of managing those cost structures, one of them is, what do we do when we break down? And, you know, over the years, I've been thankful that my trucks have stayed running very reliably. But we've gotten into a few accidents here and there, and we've always been trying to mitigate our costs for breakdowns or through an accident. And sometimes you just have to use whatever provider is there. But if you have options, if there is someone you can go to, you know, the immediate need of getting your vehicle towed is great. The after effect is, how does that affect your pocketbook, not only for the tow, but on your cargo policy, on your insurance renewal, being able to keep your company moving forward. It's those expenses that I think, I just need this service now. But if you can take a step back and you have a moment to think about, like, pick a vendor who's going to help you not only keep the cost down now, but keep you insurable in the future. You know, that was the whole reason I started this, because I got hit hard a couple times on both cargo claims and on tow bills that, yeah, I made it through, but it definitely put a crunch on the business. So I'm hoping, to be able to provide a better value to folks in the Omaha, eastern Nebraska, western Iowa area.
Marty, you started BidSpot not too long ago, and everybody in here in trucking knows like the mystery of figuring out what a rate, what's a fair rate, or how to calculate a rate, what the rate per mile should be. I think this is where you really come in. But talk about, I guess for lack of better terms, this mystery of how do you calculate rates, and what did you do why did you do that, and how did you figure that out?
Well, first, can I address something?
Sure.
These chairs are really comfortable. I'm trying to focus, but I'm just like, maintain that. But, so, the biggest thing that I learned as an owner-operator is you gotta work fast and you gotta be efficient, right? Anyone who's been in trucking can attest to the fact that at some point you feel like numbers are being made up. And, we wanted to get to the point with BidSpot to be able to, make it factual. And also take into account that everyone has a unique situation, just like, for those of you who are married, every marriage is unique. You can't give the same advice to another person. One of the things that I kind of came around to in terms of like making that decision was, how can I standardize what a good rate is for me, but also allowing people to make that same decision for themselves, and using data and using information based on where they are located. If I'm in Houston, I'm not going to operate in the same fashion as someone would in Nebraska, as someone would in Pennsylvania. Everybody's situation is different, and that's where the genesis of BidSpot came to be.
I'm going to keep asking questions, but I think one thing I learned from the first panel, I'd love to get this even more interactive with the audience. If you have a question, we do have microphones around you. Raise your hand and they'll come to you. I'll be able to point it out, but I'd like to get questions during and not just wait till the very end. So just raise your hand. We'll have somebody come, and then after somebody answers, we'll point you out and pick on that. John, back to you.
Guys, I'm here at the Freight conference, and hopefully, if you can, give me a thumbs up if you can hear okay. If I can, I might just actually walk up front and put the camera down, but I just want to make sure that you guys can hear everything okay. So if you can hear, or when I was in there earlier and you guys were on, if you could hear, just give me a thumbs up.
What's going to be our goal, and how are we going to hit that? I'll say real quick, we at Volco's, like every year we kind of get around and we say, hey, we want to get to these numbers, but then we got to backpedal to figure out what it's going to take. But how did you all come up with that?
Yeah, so if you talk to Scott Erickson, who's our co-owner as well, he'll tell you today, after almost 4 years in the business, he's like, I didn't even think we'd hit 5 or 10 million. And so I think, as you look at streamlining your operations, one of the books that I made him read, and I've read as well, is Jim Collins' Good to Great. So they talk about cranking that flywheel and then essentially getting the right people on the bus. So that was first and foremost for us, is like, let's hire really good people. During COVID, we realized we didn't need to build an ivory tower someplace and try to recruit people from the local market. So we went out and procured people all across the United States. I think we've got employees in 16 different states now. And it's like, let's get the best talent and let's bring them in. And then I think number two really is as you're cranking that flywheel, focus on your core competencies. I know I'm really big on the whole squirrel mode, and I see something and I want to go chase it. Got to stay in your lane. You got to stay focused and say, okay, these are our core competencies. This is what we're going after. We're going to be hyper focused about this, almost to the point where we're obsessed about, let's make sure this thing, one thing that we're going to do, let's do it right, and let's do it until we can't get it wrong. And I think once you start doing that, you get that down, and then you move over to the next thing. And then for us, we're big in the seed and ag chem space, and that's where we wanted to start. So we want to stay focused. We got a hit list of these are the clients that we want to go after and get. I think we're working with 95% of the clients that we initially targeted 4 years ago. So now that we're there, it's like, okay, now how do we dig in? How do we change with those clients? How do we bring more value? How do we bring more just insight into their business and help them grow as well.
Rob, I remember a text that you'd sent me, I think it was last December, but you know, when you're growing a business, there's a lot of negativity out there. And you can see, you know, sometimes if you get on social media, you can see a lot of negative things about your business and what people don't like about it. And you say sometimes it can be a lonely road. That meant so much when you said that to me, but talk about that. What does that mean when you're growing a business and you have that banter out there, that negativity, those people that aren't on board, people don't think it's a good idea?
Well, I'll use an example. I was at a campground last year, and I walked up to this guy. He's like, hey, and I introduced myself, hey, I'm Rob Grover. He's like, you're Rob Grover? You took my lanes from me. I'm like, I didn't intend to. I bid 200 lanes, I'm sorry. But when you're growing the business, you're gonna step on some toes. You try not to. You do your best to mitigate that, but you will. And you gotta be obsessed with it. I mean, even right now, I'm looking at my watch every 10 seconds, because I'm getting an email. I got people working back home to get stuff done. But my wife says I have ADHD, but I just put it towards the business, which is good. And conveniently, she's come on full-time too, so now we speak the same language at home, which is good and bad, depending on the week. But, you know, to find peers that are at your level or above that you can emulate gets to be a little difficult, especially in rural communities. So, yeah, I like my employees. I'm friends with a lot of them, but not to the point where we're gonna go out drinking on the weekends, because you have to have that break. But when you're building a business and all your effort and all your energy is going into that business, it gets pretty lonely because you don't have those other people. But hopefully when I retire early and I'm on a beach somewhere, I'll make some new friends.
Good.
Alrighty, guys. I will show you around here a little bit. So it was a very interesting conference, and I got to get back in there, but I'll show you some of the mounts up here. And I'm out here at the Bulk Freight Conference in Springfield, Illinois at the Bass Pro. So, and I'm live right now. So I am here. They have a big aquarium, and that's what is straight ahead of me. So, but here they got all kinds of mounts, some elk, some bear, some buffalo. Sorry, there's no bear. Where's the bear? There's a bear around here somewhere. Oh, it's in the inside. Whitetail, mule deer, all kind of good stuff. So it's a really cool place. Western trailers here. And guys, so our Western trailer is actually coming on Friday. It's coming through Friday. They're going to drop some parts off that are in the trailer, and then they're going to continue on to a show I think it's in Essex, Vermont. So I'm going to walk over here yet and show you guys the dining room. They got this dining room looking pretty good. It should be in one of my videos as well. So here is where we come through for food. This has been pretty awesome. Check out these stones and that fireplace. I can't even get it all in my my screen here. Look at that big moose up there. Really cool. And they're hooking us up with some nice backpacks too. Check this out, Carhartt at that. Might have to replace my black one. Here's a list of the sponsors. All right. That is, I'm gonna wrap this up.
We had one actually come in through the app and
All right.
give us the bracket. What's the advice you give but struggling like others.
I'm just reading the comments. You guys are get a wrench. All right. Well, thanks for hopping on, guys. I'm gonna pop off, and if you want, I can leave you on here. But I just figured I'd let you give you a little look.
This is pretty much what has brought us here for this conference. I have met people here that I've talked to for years, who have never seen my face, probably few new ones too.
Alrighty, guys. Thanks for hopping on. We will see you around.